Welcome to PYM Live. I'm Lisa, and I'm with Plan Your Meetings, and thanks to the technology provided to us by Telenect, we are able to bring a virtual audience live into today's education session. So hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you being here for this exciting education portion of PYM Live. We're in Atlanta. We have a room full of people here live, and now we are bringing in the virtual audience too. So we're going to get right into our session. Let me introduce you to our guest presenter today. Stacey Ruth is the marketing consultant with the Atlanta-based Actio Marketing, which is a full-service agency specializing in event marketing. She has over 20 years of event industry experience, and Stacey and the Actio team have built a product line called Interaction, which is specifically designed to help planners build attendance, engage their audience, and increase the bottom line. In 2006, Stacey became a certified event ROI professional, which is one of only the handful of professionals nationwide who focus exclusively on ROI for meetings. This designation provides her with the ability to help her clients create and deliver events that produce results with measurable value to their organization. You've probably read some of Stacey's articles on planyourmeetings.com. They're personally some of my favorites. She writes a regular column on event marketing for us. And she is currently writing her first book, Market Right, a no-nonsense guide to do-it-yourself marketing, and it's set for release later this year. So we're very honored to have her here today presenting Event Marketing Bootcamp. Please join me in welcoming Stacey Ruth.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. Yay, PYM, woo! You are a great looking group of people here. And I'm going to break the wall here a little bit. Now we're in boot camp. All right. Well, you know, you guys are so good looking. I'll tell you what, I want to take a picture. If you guys could kind of lean in here. Hold on, okay. All right, everybody say, yay, PYM. Yay, PYM. All right, now we're going to get this out. And I'm going to get the virtual audience here. You're going to look a little bit like a camera. Gorgeous. All right. That's going to show up a little bit later on my Facebook page if everybody's okay with that. I might need to get some disclaimers signed there because I believe in marketing all the time. I'm Stacey Ruth, and yes, I have been marketing for over 20 years. Just to kind of give you a level set, I was doing event marketing when we didn't use email. Okay? That's how old I am. All right. So this is boot camp, all right? For those of you in Atlanta, how many of you have actually participated in a real boot camp? You know, to get up at 5 a.m., sweat your butt off, hate your instructor by the time you get done. Not too many of you, okay? Well, you might hate me by the time I get done, all right? Because we're going to do exactly what you do in a boot camp. In a boot camp, you really have to get down to basics. But why do you do it? Why do you do a boot camp? Because you want to change. You want increased performance, right? So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to focus on increased performance in your marketing. Now, we've done a lot of talking here about social media. Plan Your Meetings does a fantastic job of bringing a lot of the newer, later, more fascinating, like mobile websites and QR codes, and really gets everyone engaged in some of what's going on. So you may think that's what I'm going to be talking about. No. I'm going to be talking about some of the fundamentals of strategy and performance behind your event marketing, that it does not matter what you're going to be doing tactically. It's going to improve the performance of your marketing. That's what we're going to be doing. Now, there are a lot of fads out there, and they're very interesting, and we want to look at them, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of them and some of what some people have been seeing great success with. Okay? But there are certain things that have risen above fad level. The virtual environment, the webcast is actually one of those that seems to have already started transcending that, because it really does give you a lot of power and effort, and we're really glad to have Telenect working with us on this today. There are folks who are, let's say, just dyed-in-the-wool marketers. They're not really interested in events, but they're really interested in marketing. And I'm going to tell you a little secret. I'm going to lean in, okay? Here's the secret. They're talking very loudly right now about how Facebook and Twitter particularly, and QR codes may not be the way to market, okay? So right when we're jumping on the bandwagon, they're jumping off, all right? Why is that? The reason that they're jumping off the bandwagon is it's not working for them. It's not getting them the results that they want to see. Now, that does not mean that it's not going to work for events. There's some fantastic things that you can do with QR codes to get people really engaged and involved, all right? But what you need to be aware of is that what you're doing with these tactics is really driven by who you're reaching and what you want them to do, right? So, I'm going to talk a little bit about, and I love a good secret, event marketing's dirty little secrets. All right. So one thing that's really important to know about event marketing is every single communication, every single designed piece, everything that you have that's communicating to your attendee is marketing. All right. A lot of people think about event marketing as the pre-event marketing. I'm going to get your butt in a seat. It's a lot more than that. It's the presentations. It's the signs, it's the name badges, it's everything. And what it does, when you talk about marketing, you're talking about creating a brand for your event. And I'm not talking about a theme, and I'm not talking about a theme graphic. I'm talking about the experience of the event. So what you're communicating to your audience before the event is what they're going to get when they get there. And what they get when they get there is where the rubber hits the road that's going to make them want to come back. So everything you're doing is marketing. Now, I'm not going to talk about the staging or any of that, but that's very important to know when I'm talking about marketing. I'm not just talking about pre-event marketing. All right? It takes time and money to market. And we'll talk a little bit about budget and what a good budget is for marketing. But when you talk about social media, we talk about free marketing tools. I just want to draw everyone's attention to the fact that free isn't free. When you talk about social media has to be populated, and it has to be populated often. Twitter, really often, if you're going to do it right. You're going to do it daily, multiple times daily, Facebook daily, LinkedIn daily. That's a lot of time. Somebody's got to do that. Is it you? Is it somebody on your team? Are they on salary? Are they getting paid? And what are they not doing when they're doing it? So don't buy into what a lot of companies think is, I'm doing free marketing. It's not free. The question is it getting you results? Okay? And the more personal it is, the more success it's going to get. How many of you here in Atlanta received a personal phone call from Plan Your Meetings to attend? Good number of you. Plan Your Meetings gets the personal touch. A lot of companies don't stop and do that. A lot of organizations don't stop and do that. There's variable data printing. Dear John, we really want to see you at our event. All right? And it isn't just about attendance. It's about engagement. How engaged is your audience in what you're doing? And my favorite, if this were easy, not only would you not be here, I wouldn't be here. So this keeps me in business, okay? What it takes is hard work, just like a boot camp. And part of that hard work is going to be strategy before you ever get started marketing. And we'll talk about how to do that effectively. First, though, I'm going to talk about some facts. Now, these facts are a little bit old. They were the end of 2010, but they're from Constant Contact, and they're from about 1,000 people across the country who are event marketers. Some are B2C, some are B2B, and some are nonprofit, so associations, organizations, all right? And it's about a third, and a third. So you're going to see some data that actually kind of covers the whole scope here. Anybody shocked? No, okay. And that's why it's so important to focus on the content as a key element of your marketing. People come to events because they want to be informed. This wasn't always the case. They used to be the show, right? But now it's education. B2B companies, very interesting, very, very tight turnarounds on their events. I do want to kind of stop and ask a question here. I'll ask the virtual audience first. How long do you have on average, everybody's got different events with different lead times, how long do you have to plan a meeting? And I'll let you guys talk a little bit amongst yourselves, as it were. And I'm going to ask the Atlanta audience here, how many of you on average, have a year or more to plan your meeting? That's what it, we got one, all right. 2, all right. How many of you have 9 months? Few, all right. How many have 6 months? How many have, we'll cut it down, 4. How many have 2 months or less? Much larger group. It seems like the majority here are really, really up against tight time frames to build attendance and awareness, and that's something that we're going to kind of focus on, what you can do when you don't have a lot of time to market. Now, I said I would talk briefly about budget. Most events, on average, consume 20% or less of the event budget. That's a good milestone. It's really based on the same milestone that companies have when they're marketing. They usually spend about 20% of their corporate budget on marketing and advertising, and it just translates right into events. Now, some folks are dealing with on the less side of 20%, and so you have to be creative in what you do. But if you're wondering what to set a budget at, that's a good milestone. Now, I tweeted about this earlier. The average is 5.5 methods, I'll call them tactics later, of driving attendance. Constant Contact was focused on pre-event marketing, so we're just talking about driving attendance. I was talking earlier with Lisa. Plan Your Meetings heavily uses 6 and has a variety of others like Dig and YouTube that they have access to, Foursquare, those sorts of things. But average is 5.5, and I know most companies I'm working with are using 3, maybe 4. They're using email, they're using direct mail, they're using an event website, and they might be using Facebook or Twitter, usually not both. Well, if they're only using 3 or 4, that means a lot of people are using a lot more. And the question really is, how's it working? So sometimes people do that because it's the price of entry. It's important to know if you're going to spend the time on it, if it's really working for you. Email is far and away the top communication. Some companies rely only on email for communication. This is not a good thing because emails get lost. Emails die in spam. Emails get ignored, emails get overlooked, emails get set aside, I'll read that later, and never looked at again. You really need in your marketing to have that 3 to 5 to 7 different ways of reaching attendees if you want to make sure you reach them, okay? Now, 40%, that's actually not a lot. Think about it, that's less than half of the population. 40% are using social media. And actually, I'm going to go back to that. 40% are using social media. And Plan Your Meetings knows how many people are attending on average because they found out about the event through social media. It's between 10 to 20%. In the Atlanta audience, how many of you heard about this event through social media? So this is a smaller group this time, okay? We'll come back to it, but I'm curious how many of the virtual audience actually heard about this through social media. 11% use blogging. Guess why? That is one time intensive way of driving event marketing. And a lot of companies are finding they cannot keep it populated. Now, almost half use mail invites for the reasons stated earlier. You want to get, but also people can put it on their bulletin board. They can remember it. It's a good reminder. Email won't do that. More than 27% use press releases. Press releases are really, they're really kind of social media. Because with press releases, you can put those on the search engines. What you're doing is you post them on free PR websites, free press release posting websites. If any of you want a list, I've got about 10 of them. Send me an email. My email's at the end of the presentation. But if you put it up there about your event and people are searching for your event, it's going to come up because those press release sites have high rankings. If you throw in a keynote speaker of note, you might have even better results. It's not so much about inviting the press. But speaking of social media, how many of the virtual audience actually heard about this through social media?
You know what's really funny is out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that responded, all the people who responded had learned about it through email.
Okay.
But that's a fraction of who we have viewing, because when we first went live right at 3, we had 33 who were already watching, and we had about 100 people who had registered.
Right.
So, you know,
Probably a little higher.
yeah, on any kind of platform you have, about 10% like really actively engaged. So,
Right,
yeah,
right.
email was effective.
So here are the top challenges that this 1,000-person population, survey population had with event marketing. Now, if you really look at this, they've broken it down into great detail, but it's getting responses to their outreach and their marketing, people actually paying attention to the outreach, minimizing folks that just don't show up, and then getting people to the event. So really those first 4, 3 of them are about getting people to pay attention to the marketing. So if people are having that kind of problem, getting people to pay attention to the marketing, well, what's wrong? Why aren't people paying attention? Gosh darn it, I've got an event, okay? There really are 6 things, just 6, that get in the way of event marketing being successful. I'll call them mistakes. The challenge with these mistakes is some event marketers are making all 6 of them. All right. The good news is if you go back today and you take a look, you don't have to tell the rest of us what you're doing wrong, okay? But if you go back today and take a look at what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong, and you say, you know what, I could really improve this. If you change one thing, you're going to see performance improvement. So here are the fixes for the mistakes. They're really easy, I promise. A lot of folks are putting tactics before their marketing strategy. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what a marketing strategy looks like in just a second. But tactics are every method that you're using to reach out. So if you say, you know what, I'm going to reach out to everybody, and I'm going to use Facebook, and I'm going to use Twitter, and I'm going to use email, and I'm going to do direct mail, great. Why? Why are you reaching your audience that way? So what you start with is, who are you trying to reach? Where are they getting their information? When are they getting their information? You need to know who your audience is. We'll talk a little bit about how you find that out. Now, on the too frequent information, how do you know if you have too much information? And really, when I'm talking about too much information, I'm not talking about too much information in total. I'm talking about how much information you put in one communication. Now, the good thing about Twitter is you can only put a few characters, all right? Email, not so much, okay, y'all? You do not need to put the entire registration website in your email, all right? The rule of 3 ideas is your audience can only absorb 3 ideas. Anything that you put below that, or the too many details that you put around that, you have lost them. And that very thing that they wanted to know about your event that was at the end of your email, they didn't get to that. All right? So you want to really be clear in your communication. Here's the big idea. I've got a keynote speaker. He's great. She's great. Okay. And here's what they're going to talk about, and here's the registration site, and go find out the rest of your information. Then send them another email. Tell them about the fabulous party you're having. Get the idea. Okay, break it up. Don't try to hit them all with all of it at once. This is my favorite radio station. I did not originate this. I'm not exactly sure who did, but it's WII-FM, and it's playing my song. And my song is, "What's in it for me?" If I'm an attendee, I don't really care what you want to tell me. I want you to care what I want to hear, all right? So that's what you need to focus your communications on, not what you're going to push out, but pull them in. Here's what they're going to get. Here's the benefit of what you're giving them. Metrics of success scare people. What am I going to have to measure? How am I going to measure it? There are some very easy ways to find out what's working and what's not. If you split up your messages and you send out a message about a keynote speaker and your registration flatlines, right? And then you send out a message about this fabulous networking roundtable setup that you have and your registration spikes, you know you got some good content there, okay? That's enough of a metric. If you send out something on Facebook and it's at a different time than your email, you can look at the timing of your communications and the timing of your registrations. You've got metrics. It's not that hard, right? It doesn't have to be an exact science. If you've got no budget and the CEO isn't going to give you any budget, this is a question that the president, the CEO, the VP, the executive suite needs to be thinking about. Why are you having this meeting in the first place? What's the value of the attendee for this meeting? There is a dollar value. What is it? And if they don't know what the dollar value is, maybe make a suggestion, and it will have to do with what you're getting them to do after the event. And if you've got no time, and that was quite a few people in here, time's a wasting, your marketing messages can carry a sense of urgency. Space is limited. Time is running out. Because people don't want to miss out. And quite frankly, a lot of people will think that you've been sending them messages and they just now got them. Okay?